Hello and welcome to the Hairdresser Strong Show. My name is Robert Hughes and I'm your host. Today I'm with Shelby Bettencourt. We're going to get to know her. She's a salon owner, behind the chair stylist. She has her own podcast and she's launching a health education program. Shelby, would you introduce yourself to us?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on the show. So, Robert, like you said, I own a salon in Miami, Florida. It's a booth rental salon. I have about 6 stylists at the moment. I'm the host of the Happy Healthy Hairstylist program podcast, and yeah, I've been working behind the chair for almost 13 years now. It's so crazy. I feel so old every time I say that.
Well, how did you get started in the industry? Did you always know you wanted to be a hairdresser?
You know, it's weird. When I was 8, my mom started dating the owner of the hair salon we used to go to. And naturally, I ended up at the salon all the freaking time. So it's one of those things that when I was at the salon as a young girl, I didn't necessarily like doing hair, but I loved the energy. And it, like, now as an adult, I understand that it was the energy. It was the feeling that women felt going in compared to how they felt leaving. Like they're something about them just changed just from like being in this room. So I ended up falling in love with what these hairstylists did, and it made me want to be a hairstylist. I wanted to be the pretty girl who made other girls pretty, and I just so happened to be really good at it, so it really helped. But that's really what got me started, was the energy, the exchange of making women feel beautiful.
That's awesome. So what did you go to school or do an apprenticeship program?
So I ended up going to a vocational high school, where we did half high school, half vocational school. So I ended up getting my license at 17. I wasn't even
Nice.
graduated. Yeah. And yeah, that it was amazing because I didn't have to go through the whole like cosmetology school outside of hair school. I was working as a hairdresser before I even graduated. I remember the day of prom, I told my boss, I was like, "It's okay, I can come into work tomorrow." And she's like, "Are you crazy? Like, you have prom tonight." And I was like, "No, no, no, it's fine. I'll work." I just really wanted to be in the salon as much as I could. So yeah.
The way you were working in a salon while you were training to get your license while you were in high school?
So I got my license February of my senior year. And once I got it, I was still going to school normally from, 7 to 2. But after school, I would go into the salon. I was working as a hairstylist.
Okay, cool. So do you think well, did you end up doing hair behind the chair at that salon that you were working at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
went straight into being a hairstylist. I never assisted. I was very stubborn at the time. I was like, no, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this my whole life. Cause at the time, like from 8 to 17, I was doing my friends' hair. Like my friends' moms would come over and I would do their root touch-ups in my bedroom. um,
Okay.
so I felt like I already knew what I was doing. I was very like stubborn and, naive. So I went straight in,
What were you naive about?
thinking that I knew it all. Like honestly, it took me 3 years for color to actually click. And like I remember the day vividly when my boss at the time, she was like, "Shelby," like every time she would mix something, I would be like, "Okay, why is she mixing that? I would have never thought to mix that." So I kept on asking her questions. Like I would excuse my client at the time and I would go in the back room with her anytime she was going to formulate. I'd be like, why are you doing this? Why did you mix like this with that? And she was like, "Shelby, pay attention to the color wheel and you'll understand everything that I'm doing." And like that is when color clicked. And I was like, how did I go 3 years without knowing any of this? I don't know how I was formulating before. But yeah, it definitely took me a long time to realize it because I went straight in and I didn't assist or, work under someone.
Gotcha, gotcha. So is is that a piece of like, would you say that you wish you would have done that,
Yeah.
or are you glad that things went the way they did?
You know, I am glad because I showed myself that, like, hey, confidence can get you there, because I did have a clientele, even though I didn't really know what I was doing, I was confident in it. And I knew that as long as I made the client feel comfortable, I was golden. Like, if I made them feel beautiful, comfortable, and at the end of the day, they were happy, that was good, even if I didn't know what I was doing. It taught me how to ask for help and do my own research and really like try to get as much education in a way. Like, this is back in 2009, 10. Education wasn't what it is now, but I was YouTubing things. I was trying to look up things as much as I could. My best advice now is like, there's so many resources out there, and if you can go in and be an assistant or be an apprentice, you will learn everything so much faster. And I think that that's the key to it. You can like fast forward with whatever you want. Like, for instance, right now I'm like leveling up in my own life, and I have a coach. I have three coaches, in fact. And that's like me going back into like, okay, well, I need the help. I want to know where I'm going. So I'm going to hire the person that will help me get there. So any advice to a new stylist is be the assistant. Like, it's not an ego thing. It's something that's going to help fast forward your career. You're going to be better behind the chair because all of the mistakes that stylist has learned, you now get the opportunity to like not have to go through that.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. So I love that. You said you have three coaches. Are they each one is for something different, or they're overlapping, or tell us about that? I'm
So,
curious.
yes, they're all very different. So, first and foremost, I am part of Elizabeth Faye's High Power. So, I hired her at the beginning of this year, and I've gone through her year-long program. I've also done education foundations with her. She is amazing. She has helped me heal in many different ways in my own personal life and in business. So for her, she has been my main, like, in the industry coach. I also have a coach that is not in our industry. He is part of this program called Arate. I met him at the beginning of this year as well, and he's been coaching my boyfriend and I together on projects that we're doing outside of the salon. So not so much me being an educator, but more like me running the salon, we've had previous companies, my boyfriend and I, so managing that and managing communications between him and I. So that's been really helpful, having someone who's not in my industry kind of see my business as in a different way, more of a
Yeah.
business. And then I am part of the Arte Syndicate, which is a mastermind for entrepreneurs. And that is a very like masculine group. So I consider that my mentor, because we meet 3 times a month on a private phone call. And that has helped me with like entrepreneurship in general.
Awesome. So I'm just writing these down. Would you be cool? Would you be okay with sharing this information with our guests?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right. So we'll leave that information. There'll be links and stuff in the comments below for all of you wondering, wanting to know more information. Okay, cool. So let's go back a little bit. You in high school or young age, you got exposed to the hair world. You discovered that you decided you're going to give this thing a shot, and you had the advantage of getting the training while you're in high school. You got out, you finished, and then you got a job, or you already working in the salon. Is that right? Yeah. So you work in the salon, and then you you got right onto the floor basically immediately. No assisting at all.
No,
No
none.
assist. Okay. And then there was a little bit of fumbling and trial by fire, and it took you a little bit of time, but then you got your feet under you. And this is okay. So now where are we at in your story? You're still at the original salon you started at?
No, I ended up leaving that salon. I ended up going to a salon that was closer to my house. And ironically, the person, Melissa, the owner of the new salon, she used to own the salon I originally started at. It was like a weird story.
Okay.
So I worked there for a couple of years, and then I moved to Miami. I was originally in Massachusetts. I should have mentioned that before.
Okay. Okay.
Um, So when I turned 21, I moved to Miami, Florida. I didn't know a single soul here. So I restarted my career. And that was really fun, really interesting. It was definitely a culture shock because I don't speak Spanish, and here it's primarily Spanish. Um, and the city I started in was a very like Jewish city. It's a 3 square mile city that's worth over $3 billion. So it
Wow.
was going from a little cow town in Massachusetts to like a multi-billion-dollar city at the
What
age of
city is
21.
this?
It's called Aventura,
Oh my
Florida.
gosh. I worked on Williams Island at Richard
No
and Company.
way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. What a
I
small
know,
world.
small world. I know, it's crazy. Okay, so you worked for a little bit, then 21 years old, you moved to Miami, and tell us about like what that was like getting a job. Like, it's kind of like a lot of people that are either moving or starting out for the first time. How did you find your job, your first salon
So,
job?
before I moved here, I came down here on vacation. And at the time, I was dating someone, and his dad had lived here in Miami. And when we came down here, it was January of that year. we I got off the plane and I was like, holy crap, I need to move to Miami. Like, it's January, it is beautiful out. Like, why am I suffering in the snow? So when we were out and about, and we went to this biker bar in um, Davie, Florida, and I met this woman who was friends with my boyfriend at the time's dad. And she was like, oh, like, how long are you here for? And I was like, oh, I'm only here for a week, but I really want to move here. And I told her I was a hairdresser, and I was like, I'm a really good hairdresser. Like, and I know I can make it here. I know I can do hair here. And she's like, oh my gosh, you should meet my hairstylist. You would love her. And long story short, she printed out my Facebook and gave it to her hairdresser. And her hairdresser messaged me the week later and was like, your work's amazing, let me know when you move here. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
like, that was the turning point. I was like, I have to move there. I have a job now. Like, nothing is holding me back. So 2 weeks after I moved here, she contacted me because we had been following each other on Facebook. This is like, it dates me because this was Facebook times. um, and I came in for an interview, and she hired me, and it was just her and I at the time. And I ended up working there for like 3.5 years. I became the manager of her salon. I loved working there. I built up a full clientele in under 6 months. I just hustled
Nice.
and did Groupons, and anytime I went out, I like just saw opportunity to just meet new people. And she was kind of like my wing girl. Like, we would go out, we would introduce ourselves to people, and we would do each other's hair before we would go out. I mean, it's Miami, so it's like everyone looks great. And we were two friendly girls who were both 21, 22. So we would just walk up to girls and compliment them on their hair and tell them that we worked at a salon that was nearby and that we'd love to do their hair. And it ended up building my full clientele, that plus Groupon. And I still have most of those clients today, and it's been
Wow.
about 10 years.
Nice. That's awesome. So you would attribute a large majority of your clientele to basically guerrilla marketing, going out and like hitting the beat, and
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's
That,
cool.
and like, honestly, Groupon and referrals. Like, I had
Yeah.
we did a referral program, and it was a 20 for 20, which was, if you refer a friend, you get $20 off, and they get $20 off. And
Oh,
I allowed
nice.
them to stack it. So I was like, if
Oh,
you send me 5 friends, you get $100 off. And
nice.
my clientele loved it. They loved sending it, like sending me people. And it was just, I knew that I could bring the energy to them, and I knew I could make them feel heard, seen, and loved. So I just brought that energy, no matter if they were a Groupon or if they were a free blowout. I just brought the energy, and I showed them how much I loved doing hair, and it worked.
Nice. I like that. Okay, so you're at the salon for 3.5 years. You build your book through Groupon and going out and passing out your cards and introducing yourself to people, which is I still think that that's like a huge, awesome, strong way to build clientele. And then the referral program, and which
Yeah.
I like that 20 for 20. And there's all kinds of interesting referral ideas, and that's a good one, especially if you can stack them up.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3.5 years goes by, and then what?
And then I decided to move to Miami. Like I was like, okay, at the time, things were going, I was going a separate direction. Then I was done partying. I was in a serious relationship, and I wanted to, the opportunity came where I left the salon and I moved to like downtown Miami, and I started working at another commission salon. Um, and I worked there for about a year, and then I opened my own suite.
All right. So you went from Aventura, which is basically north of Miami, and then you built up a full book and then decided that you needed a change because there was whatever was happening. And you
Yeah.
move into a salon in downtown Miami. And and then a year later, you open a suite. Why did you open up a suite?
So it came down to I had rebuilt my clientele again because I moved 10 miles away from the other salon. Um, the management at this salon was kind of crazy. I went from a very structured management to like a very unstructured management. And I had outgrown the space. I was asked to work more. I wasn't able to get an assistant. I couldn't raise my prices. I felt boxed in. I was like, the only option I had was to work more. And at that time, I was already burnt out with the hours I was working. I didn't want to work more. I wanted an assistant. I wanted a receptionist. I needed help, and I wasn't getting that help. So
Gotcha.
I didn't want to open a suite. That was the last thing I wanted. I did not want to open a salon. I just wanted an assistant, and I wanted to have a space that I liked working in. So one of the stylists that worked with me at the first salon up in Aventura, she had moved with me to the salon in downtown. Her name was Veronica. So Veronica and I had been working together for about 3 years, and I convinced her to open the salon suite with me. I was like, hey, I really don't want to do this alone. I I really don't want to be in a box by myself because I felt like it was very like, boxed in. It was very lonely. So I convinced her to open the suite with me, and we opened the suite, and it was great until I was like, okay, I'm feeling claustrophobic, and now I want coworkers. So I decided to open my rental salon that was basically like the place I've always wanted to work at, with not as many rules, but still a structure and support and education behind it. And that's what,
Nice.
yeah.
So how long were you in a suite before you open up a salon?
So we were in the suite for about a year and a half, and then we
Okay.
opened up our space. I opened it with Veronica at the time, and then last year she wanted to open a salon with her boyfriend, who was in the industry. So in the best way possible, we had our divorce, and it was the best divorce I've ever had, or the best breakup I've ever had because I've never been divorced. So now I'm a solo salon owner for 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you opened up the salon with your friend 2 years ago?
Yes, 2.5. Oh, yeah, 2.5 years
Two
ago.
and a
Yeah.
half years ago, a year and a half later, you guys went your separate ways and now you own it.
Yes.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Um, well, first of all, that's a very exciting journey. I
Yeah.
mean, making moves as a hairdresser that frequently, I think that would give a lot of people anxiety.
Yeah.
Um,
And every time
however,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Every time I moved, it was a drastic like area that I moved to. So I wasn't moving down the street. I was moving to another city. So I had to rebuild my clientele like 3 or 4 times just being here in Miami. And I did have a lot of clients who traveled with me and who moved with me, but it really did help me know that throughout the years and using technology and using social media like Instagram and Facebook and all of that, how that can still help you build a full clientele. So I think that that's really important, that even though I've made all these moves, throughout all of those moves, I've rebuilt my clientele.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's cool because I think a lot of stylists that are thinking about making a move, or young stylists just starting out, uh,
Mm,
it can be kind of fearful to think about, like, what do I do? And like, how do I know I'm making the right move? And I think everybody, Shelby's here telling you, if you make the wrong move, don't let it be a long move that you stick in for a long period of time. I think that's good. I think that's inspirational to know that it's okay to jump around, just like know what you're
yeah.
looking for. And that's pretty cool. So what would be some advice to somebody who's looking to like try to figure stuff out? Say they want to open up a salon, but they don't quite have the money, or they're not, or they're worried, they wonder if they don't have enough clients, or they're just having some fear and uncertainty about it.
Yeah. So my advice would be like, is it fear or is it doubt? Like, I've never doubted myself as a hairstylist. I've never doubted that clients don't like me or that I can't make money. I knew that I could make money. I knew that clients liked me. I knew I had a talent to bring to the table. And I knew that I was willing to get the help that I needed with accounting or business help or hiring the coach or whatever. Um, so if it's just fear, then know what you need and have the help and do it. Like, do things that scare you.
That's
Obviously,
good.
like, don't be reckless where if you have no budget to open a salon, absolutely no, don't open a salon. I
Yeah.
did all of my moves without debt. I've never gotten a loan to open my salon. Even when Veronica left, and I took over the space that we're in, she and I had an agreement that she would help me until I felt like we could move to a smaller space within the same building. Um, and it worked out because I knew I couldn't budget the big space that we had alone, just in like, what was I going to do if all my renters left? Like, I knew that that wasn't going to be smart. So we had an agreement. I knew what I needed as my bottom line. I knew how much money I was making. So I was organized in that way. But I had no doubt that I couldn't do it. So I would ask yourself, like, hey, do I have the resources to live? Like, do I have like enough savings that like I can live? Do I have the resources that I need? Like, do I have the accountant? Do I have the business plan? Do I know how much clientele I have guaranteed that's gonna like be making me money? And then can I do this? And, you know, I think that you can, as long as you have those things. And as long as you bring the good energy to the table and you focus on just creating a really good customer, experience, and you focus on the clients and you show the excitement of what it's like to build your own thing, people will be attracted to that and they will follow you. My clients love my energy. I'm not saying I'm the best hairstylist in the world. I'm absolutely fucking not. I'm good at doing hair. Yes, absolutely. But I'm not the best. But I bring a certain energy behind the chair that no one else brings. And that's what's kept my clientele. And that's what's made my clientele move with me. And that's what's attracted more clients to me, as well as renters. If you're a salon owner, like, that is the main thing. I've never worked for a salon owner who had the energy that I have towards my stylist in my salon. And it's simply because I went through all the things that I went through, and I know now what I need to bring to the table, because I was that stylist that wanted a space that was inclusive, a space that, I could just do what I loved and have my boundaries and my structure around it, but also be able to be an artist, be able to like have fun at work, be able to like the people I work with. And, you know, I think that all in all, it's knowing that you can do this and not having the doubt.
That's good. I like that. The fear versus doubt.
Yeah.
How about well, at what point in time from this, so you got the salon open, when did you start your podcast?
I started my podcast at the beginning of this year
Okay.
when I had met Marcus, one of my mentors. We were actually in Cancun at an Arte event, and he and I were talking, and he was like, "Well, what do you do? How do you like?" What do you do? I was like, I help hairstylists feel better, both mentally and physically behind the chair. And he's like, okay, so how do you do that? And I was like, I don't know, through Instagram. And he's like, well, is there any other platform that you want to use? I was like, I kind of want to do a podcast. Like, I like talking. And he's like, so why don't you do a podcast? I was like, I don't know. I just never thought about what it would actually take. And he was like, I can help you. And then that's where it started. He had me write down like my dream 20 of people that I wanted to interview. So I wrote it down at the beginning of the year. And to this day, I'm at 10 out of the 20 that I've interviewed. So that's been really cool.
Nice. Nice.
Thank you. So it was just the idea that I really like talking to hairstylists, and I really wanted to spread my message on how to be healthier behind the chair. And podcasting was the best way to get my voice out there and for people to really understand like who I am as a person and hear the things that I have to say.
That's so cool. So any your health you have this health education program.
Yes.
Is You want to tell us a little bit? Well, just for anybody who isn't aware of your podcast, what is your podcast about? I know you mentioned it, but we didn't ask you directly. I didn't ask you directly.
Yeah. So it's called the Happy Healthy Hairstylist podcast. So I talk about the health, both mentally and physically, of the hairstylist, why it's important that we incorporate food and water behind the chair. So I have guests who come on where we talk about different areas of health and different areas of being a salon owner or a stylist behind the chair. I talk about human design and astrology and money and budgets and setting boundaries, all of the things that I think that have taught me on my journey and have helped me. So I have a lot of really cool guests on there. And as far as you want me to talk about the program?
Yeah. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. And then your health education program.
So it's called the Happy Healthy Hairstyles Program, and it's a guide to help you identify what it means to be healthy, release what's holding you back, and to integrate in new habits that are fit to your lifestyle. So it's something that is completely custom to you. There's a lot of information on what it means to move your body both in a masculine way, which is like very structured, in a feminine way, which is very intuitive, like what feels good. Same thing with eating. So we go over like a very masculine way of eating where it's like count of macros and, a very structured way, weighing out your food, and also an intuitive way and figuring out what way works for you. I believe that you need to know the masculine side, the very structured side, in order to do the feminine side. And in my life, I feel like I'm a very feminine person where I just like to flow. So I want to incorporate that a lot in my program because I'm not going to be the one to tell you how many macros to eat. I believe that being in a healthy lifestyle and like knowing what it is to be healthy, it's not very structured because it's supposed to be sustainable. So that's a little bit about the program. I'm really excited.
Nice, that's good. All right, well, anybody interested in any of this, we'll make sure to leave like links to your Instagram and any other links that you think are important for the audience to see, and so you can all get that information. If anybody has any questions, is it cool they reach out to you?
Absolutely. Please DM me.
Okay, cool. And we'll leave your handle in the comments below as well. So just to like as we wrap up, I just want to say that I think your story is awesome because it's like so dynamic, and it moves a lot, and there's a lot of moving pieces, and I like how you've kind of like just kept moving forward and figuring things out, and staying positive, and not doubting yourself, and pushing through the fear, and I like your part about not taking on any debt, and having a clear plan, which is something that I like to talk about a lot as well. So if anybody has any more questions or wants any more information, you can reach out to Shelby, or you can reach out to us and we'll connect you with her. Plus there's going to be links and stuff, information in the comments below. But before we wrap up, I'd like to finish with a laugh, and I ask each of my guests to share their most embarrassing moment behind the chair or with a client. I don't know if you have anything you'd like to share.
Yes. Okay. So when I was first figuring out color, I mentioned before that Melissa, the owner, told me that I need to figure out the color wheel. And at that time, it was 2012 or 2011, Vivids had just become a thing. So I had one of my best friends from elementary school come in, and she was going to hair school. So I was like, girl, I will show you everything that I know. And I highlighted her hair, and I had her at the bowl, and her highlights were bright yellow. So I was like, okay, I can put, I need purple. I'm going to put purple over this. I was like, or I could put blue and it'll be really icy. So instead of grabbing, a toner, I grabbed Vivids, and I grabbed the blue, and I squirted it in my hands, and I put it on top of her head. And as soon as I put my handprint on top of her head, I was like, oh shit, I messed up.
Green.
Oh, so it took me 3.5 hours to try to take it out, and she ended up with a lime green handprint on top of her head. And I didn't know how to take it out. I still don't know, because there was no way to take out Vivids. I Googled it, and I called my boss at midnight crying. I was like, I made my client's hair green. And she was so mad at me. I came in at 8 a.m. the next day with my friend who was still in hair school. And I ended up leaving. When I left that salon, I gave her my job because I felt so bad.
So you only put your hand on their head, and then so you didn't even run it through the whole thing?
No,
So you just had
it was just a handprint up top. It was awful. Oh my gosh. I will never do that again.
And apparently you'll never forget it. Yeah, exactly.
No.
That's funny. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It was great.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.